Hello, my friend. I want to start today with a little truth. I love sharing stories of homes that are beautifully organized, with every item in its place and the whole room shining with peace. But life, as you and I both know, is not always that neat. Behind every tidy space, there are struggles, there are habits, and there are feelings that we do not always talk about. Today, we are going to explore the hidden challenges of clutter. Not just the piles of belongings, but the emotions, the memories, and sometimes the fears that hide underneath them. Because clutter is never only about things. It is about the heart. It is about the way we have lived and the way we hope to live in the time ahead. As we go through these challenges together, I invite you to gently ask yourself, could this be me? And if it is, please know you are not alone. Every one of us has our own story with the belongings we keep. Challenge 1. Sharing space. Let me begin with a story you might recognize. Imagine a couple who has lived in the same home for decades. Over time, closets filled, drawers filled, and before long, the wife had taken 2 entire closets while her husband's clothes were pushed into boxes in the basement. She felt frustrated seeing his shoes by the door, his jackets on the chair, and she often said, "Why can't he just put things away?" But the truth was, there was no away for him. He had no place to claim as his own. This happens more often than people realize. In fact, family researchers have found that one of the leading sources of household arguments is not money or chores, but the simple issue of personal space. When one person feels their belongings have no rightful place, clutter becomes not just a mess on the floor, but a wound to the relationship. It silently communicates, "My things do not matter here. Maybe I do not matter here." Sharing space is about fairness, but it is also about dignity. Think about it. We would never ask a guest to come into our home and then tell them, "By the way, you cannot hang your coat anywhere." Yet we sometimes do that to the people we love most. The result is clutter scattered in corners, resentment building quietly, and homes that never feel peaceful. Now here is something surprising. Studies on marriage satisfaction show that couples who intentionally dedicate space for one another's belongings report feeling more respected and more connected. It is not about the closet or the dresser. It is about saying, "You belong here just as much as I do." And clutter decreases not because anyone became neater overnight, but because everything finally has a true home. So let me ask you, gently but honestly, in your home, does everyone have a fair share of space? Or are there hidden corners where someone has been pushed aside? Maybe it is a spouse. Maybe it is an adult child who moved back in. Maybe it is even you, quietly living around everyone else's belongings. If clutter has become a point of tension, it may not be about the mess at all. It may be about the need to belong. The first step is simple. Look around your home and ask, does every person have a place that is truly theirs? If not, what small adjustment could you make today to restore that sense of balance? Even one empty drawer, one cleared shelf, can send a powerful message. You matter here. And that message may be the beginning of peace, not just for your home, but for your relationships. Challenge 2. Shopping to fill the void. Now let us turn to a more delicate subject. Many of us know the thrill of finding something new, the joy of bringing home a purchase. For a moment, it feels like life just got a little brighter. But sometimes, that moment fades quickly, and the item joins the growing piles we already have. This is when shopping becomes less about what we truly need and more about filling an empty place inside. Here is something fascinating. Psychologists call this comfort buying. It happens when our brain releases dopamine, the same chemical linked to pleasure, every time we make a purchase. For a short while, we feel happier, more in control, even more hopeful. But then the high fades, and often we feel guilt, especially when the items pile up unused. The cycle can be hard to break because the quick joy of buying is easier than facing the deeper feelings of loneliness, boredom, or sadness. This is not rare. In fact, research from Stanford University estimates that nearly 6% of Americans struggle with compulsive buying, and the numbers rise in times of stress, retirement, or life transitions. For older adults, shopping can also be a way to combat isolation. A trip to the store, a delivery at the door. It feels like company. But if we are not careful, what was meant to comfort us can weigh us down, filling our homes with items we never needed and debts we never planned. Here is a perspective many people overlook. Every dollar we spend is not just money. It is energy, time, even part of our future. If we imagine that one unnecessary purchase might cost us not just $20, but an afternoon of our grandchildren's time, or one less dinner with friends, suddenly, the choice becomes more meaningful. Clutter is not just physical. It steals moments we could spend on experiences that truly bring joy. So I ask you, when you buy something new, are you really satisfying a need, or are you soothing an emptiness? And if it is the latter, what else could fill that space? A phone call to a loved one? A walk in the sunshine? A journal where you write your thoughts? These cost nothing, yet they fill us in ways no package on the doorstep ever can. If this challenge resonates with you, be gentle with yourself. There is no shame in recognizing it. We all seek comfort in different ways. But true peace comes not from more belongings, but from more meaning. The next time you feel that urge to buy, pause and ask yourself, am I buying this to enrich my life, or to distract me from what I really feel? The answer may surprise you. Challenge 3. The waste, not mindset. For many of us who grew up in leaner times, the words waste not, want not were almost a family commandment. We saved jars, rubber bands, scraps of fabric, old buttons, pill bottles, because someday they might be useful. And in those days, they often were. That careful frugality kept families going through the Great Depression, through wars, and through years when every penny mattered. But here is the part no one told us. The world has changed. What once was a virtue can sometimes become a burden. Saving every container, every broken appliance, every piece of fabric might feel like honoring the past. But when our homes overflow, we are no longer saving for tomorrow. We are sacrificing today. Did you know that psychologists have studied this? They call it the endowment effect. It means that once we own something, even if it is nearly worthless, we believe it has greater value simply because it belongs to us. A cracked plate, an empty pickle jar, a box of cords that no longer fit any device. Suddenly, they all seem too valuable to toss. The result? We keep them, not because we need them, but because we cannot bear to waste them. Here is something surprising. The average American household has over 300,000 items. 300,000. That number shocks most people, and it explains why so many of us feel overwhelmed. The truth is, no one can use 300,000 things. And yet, we hold on, afraid of being ungrateful, afraid of being careless, afraid of repeating the hardships of the past. But let me ask you, what is the real waste? Is it throwing away an empty jar? Or is it losing the joy of cooking in a kitchen so cluttered you cannot find your favorite pot? Is it donating fabric scraps? Or is it sacrificing the peace of a living room where you cannot sit without moving piles? Waste is not just about objects. It is about time, energy, and peace of mind. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know you are not wrong for valuing frugality. It was an honorable lesson. But sometimes the most generous act is not in saving everything. It is in letting go so that your home can serve you now. Remember, the purpose of a jar is to hold something. If it sits empty for years, It is not fulfilling its purpose, but you, my friend, have a purpose every day, and your space should support that. So here is your gentle challenge. Choose one item you have been keeping just in case. Hold it, thank it for the role it once played, and then let it go. You are not wasting it. You are reclaiming your peace, and that is the opposite of waste. Challenge 4, lack of confidence. Sometimes clutter is not about too much shopping or saving. Sometimes it is about fear. Not fear of burglars or storms, but fear of making the wrong choice. I once walked into a home where a single room had become a catch-all. Boxes stacked high, bags half open, furniture left from the previous owner. When I asked the woman who lived there if she wanted to keep a chair or donate it, she hesitated. "I'm not sure. What do you think?" Every question was answered with another question. She was afraid of choosing. Here is something you may not know. Neuroscientists have found that decision-making takes real energy from the brain, almost like a muscle that gets tired. It is called decision fatigue. When we are faced with too many choices, keep this, toss that, donate here, store there, our brain becomes overwhelmed, and when we are older or already stressed, that fatigue sets in even faster. The easiest choice becomes no choice at all, and the clutter keeps piling. This fear of deciding often comes from kindness. Many older adults worry. What if someone else needs this later? What if my children want it? What if I make the wrong call? But here is a fact worth remembering. You are the expert of your own home. No one else knows better what you use and what you do not. No one else feels the stress of those piles the way you do. Confidence grows with practice, not perfection. The very first decision might feel impossible, but once you make one, the next comes easier. Even a tiny victory, removing one old magazine or one broken plate, sends a signal to your brain. I can do this. I am capable. That small spark of confidence becomes stronger with each choice. So if you feel frozen, here is a gentle trick. Start with the easiest item, not the hardest. A bill from 10 years ago, a container without a lid, a cracked mug. Say to yourself, I deserve a space free from what no longer serves me. And then release it. The relief you feel will be the beginning of trust in your own judgment. Ask yourself, if you trusted your wisdom just a little more today, what would you choose to let go of? Challenge 5. Perfectionism. You might think clutter only comes from carelessness, but sometimes it comes from caring too much. Perfectionists are not messy because they ignore their homes. They are messy because they demand that every single thing be done the right way. Clothes must be folded just so, papers filed exactly, shelves arranged perfectly. And if they cannot do it perfectly, they often avoid doing it at all. The result? Half-finished projects, piles waiting for the right system, and guilt that never ends. Here is an unexpected fact. In psychology, perfectionism is linked not to high standards, but to fear of failure. It is less about loving order and more about avoiding shame. A perfectionist would rather leave a room untouched than risk doing it wrong. That is why some of the most intelligent, capable people live with the most clutter. They are simply waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. I once asked a client to put her laundry away without folding it. She looked at me as if I had asked her to break a sacred law. But when she tried it just once, she discovered something new. She saved 20 minutes. She had more time for her garden, for a phone call, for rest, and the clothes were still wearable. The sky did not fall. Her family did not judge her. She discovered that good enough was actually better than perfect because it gave her back her life. Here is a surprising number. Experts estimate that 90% of household tasks can be done good enough with only half the effort. The extra hours we spend chasing perfection often add very little benefit. Imagine what else we could do with those hours. Read, walk, share a meal, call a grandchild. Life is not graded. No one is handing out awards for the most perfectly folded socks. So here is the invitation. Try letting one thing be imperfect on purpose. Leave the towels folded unevenly. Put the silverware away without sorting. Skip alphabetizing the pantry. Notice how the world keeps turning, and notice how much freer you feel. Could practicing good enough be the secret key that unlocks more time for the joys that really matter? Challenge 6. Sentimental attachment. Now we come to a challenge that touches the heart more deeply than the mind. Sentimental attachment is the reason so many of us keep every greeting card, every child's drawing, every souvenir from trips long past. These objects feel like pieces of our story. To part with them feels like parting with the people we love, or the times we never want to forget. This is natural. Studies in memory research show that physical objects can act as cues that help us recall vivid experiences. A single photograph or trinket can bring back decades in a moment. But here is the surprising truth. Once the memory is triggered, the object itself is no longer necessary. The brain stores the experience, not the item. That means one letter from a friend can remind you of all the letters, just as one baby shoe can bring back the whole childhood. Yet many homes fill with boxes of keepsakes that are rarely opened, rarely touched. Instead of honoring memories, these piles can bury them. Imagine trying to find a single photo in a room of thousands. The special moments get lost in the noise. By keeping everything, we unintentionally dim the very memories we want to preserve. There is a gentle way through this. Instead of asking, "What must I let go?" ask, "What do I want to cherish?" Choose a few items that truly light up your heart and give them a place of honor. A framed photograph, a memory box, a quilt made from favorite shirts. When we curate our treasures, they shine brighter. And when we release the rest, we make space for new memories still to come. Here is something that surprises many people. Hospice workers often share that at the end of life, people rarely ask for their belongings. They ask for people. They ask for moments. They ask for love. The objects are only reminders. The true treasures live inside us, and they go wherever we go. So if you find yourself surrounded by sentimental clutter, remember, letting go of an object does not mean letting go of the love. The person, the story, the joy, they live on in you. Ask yourself, which items tell your story most beautifully, and which are simply keeping you from seeing the treasures clearly? Challenge 7. Physical limitations. Clutter is not always about willpower or personality. Sometimes it is about the body. As we grow older, tasks that once seemed small, lifting boxes, climbing a step stool, bending to reach the back of a cabinet, can feel overwhelming or even unsafe. Many homes become cluttered, not because their owners are careless, but because their bodies no longer cooperate the way they used to. There is a surprising fact here. Studies from the National Institute on Aging show that even mild mobility issues can reduce the ability to maintain a home by more than 50%. That means one sore knee, one stiff shoulder, or one unsteady step can double the amount of clutter in a space. The mess is not a sign of laziness. It is a silent signal from the body that the system no longer works. Think about the kitchen cabinet that requires a stretch on tiptoe, or the closet shelf that can only be reached with a shaky ladder, or the heavy boxes in the basement, too awkward to move without help. These are not just inconveniences, they are barriers. And when barriers multiply, items get left where they land and clutter slowly spreads. The good news is that solutions exist, and they do not always require major remodeling. Pull-out shelves, lighter storage bins, lower rods in closets, and clear containers that reduce the need to dig. These small adjustments can make a world of difference. In some communities, Local senior centers or volunteer groups even offer assistance with organizing and lifting. Family members and neighbors often want to help, but do not realize how much the physical strain adds up until someone asks. There is also a mental side to this challenge. Many people feel embarrassed to admit they can no longer manage their homes as they once did. But acknowledging these changes is not weakness, it is wisdom. Just as we adjust our diets or exercise routines with age, we can adjust our homes to meet our needs. A safe and accessible home is not just tidier, it is kinder to the body that lives in it. So if clutter has been creeping in because tasks feel harder than they used to, pause and ask, is this really about the stuff or about the systems? What could be changed to make life gentler on your body? Remember, your home should serve you, not the other way around. What small change could you make today that would lighten both the clutter and the burden on your body? Challenge 8. The just-in-case mindset. Now we arrive at the final challenge, one that hides in plain sight. The just-in-case mindset is the voice that whispers, keep it, you might need it one day. It convinces us to save extra tools, stacks of old towels, boxes of cables for electronics we no longer own, dozens of jars, and mountains of paperwork. Each item feels like a tiny insurance policy against the unknown future. Here is what is fascinating. Psychologists call this loss aversion. It means that the fear of needing something later feels twice as strong as the relief of letting it go now. In other words, we hold on because our brains exaggerate the pain of future regret. But in reality, research shows that most people never go back for the things they save just in case. In fact, professional organizers report that less than 20% of saved items are ever used again. There is another layer to this. For older adults, the just-in-case pile often reflects deeper worries about the future, concerns about health, finances, or independence. Holding on to extra supplies feels like protection. But here is the quiet irony. The larger the pile grows, the heavier the burden becomes. Instead of giving peace of mind, it creates stress, crowding the very spaces that should be safe and comforting. Here is a question that can shift the perspective. Ask yourself, if I truly needed this in the future, could I borrow, rent, or replace it? For most items, the answer is yes. Stores, neighbors, even community libraries now lend not only books, but tools, sewing machines, and other items. The world has changed. Access is often more valuable than ownership. There is also power in trusting ourselves. When we release the just-in-case clutter, we are not taking a risk. We are making a statement. We are saying, I believe in my ability to handle tomorrow with the resources I have today. That trust is worth more than any drawer full of extras. So, here is the challenge. Choose one just-in-case item. Maybe an extra set of sheets, a duplicate tool, or a gadget you have not touched in years. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time I used this? If the answer is more than a year, let it go. What you will gain is not emptiness, but freedom. What would your home feel like if the fear of what if no longer filled your shelves? My friend, we have walked through 8 of the most common struggles with clutter: sharing space with loved ones, shopping to soothe an emptiness, holding on to every jar or scrap because of waste not, freezing in fear of making the wrong decision, striving for impossible perfection, clinging to sentimental treasures until they bury us, facing the limits of an aging body, and saving far more than we need for just in case. If you saw yourself in even one of these challenges, know this: you are not alone. Millions of people face the same battles, and clutter is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of being human. Each item has a story, and each story deserves compassion. But here is the gift. Every small choice to let go creates more space for peace. Every drawer cleared is a little more room to breathe. Every shelf reclaimed is a little more room to live. And when you practice these choices, you are not just decluttering your home. You are shaping a life that feels lighter, freer, and more joyful. So here is my gentle invitation for you today. Choose one challenge that spoke to you. Take one small action. Clear one surface. Release one item. Ask for one bit of help. And then celebrate it. Not because your home is perfect, but because you are moving toward peace. You deserve a home that is easy to care for. You deserve rooms that comfort you, not overwhelm you. You deserve to walk through your days with confidence, not with clutter underfoot. And the beautiful truth is, it begins with just one step. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this message touched your heart, share it with a friend who may need the same encouragement. And remember, you are capable, you are worthy, and you are never alone in this journey.